Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I'm doing fantastic. Today we're going to be doing a live market update and overview. But before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to join the community. You get a portfolio review, buy and sell alerts, and you learn how to trade. Code FRESH for 33% off. Look, Bitcoin overall, I think, is going to be consolidating. What does that mean? I believe it's going to have something very, very similar to what we just had roughly, let's just say 2 to 3 weeks ago, where we kind of go sideways, maybe we go down a little bit, but in general, we are going to be ranging. That is what I believe. I do not believe that we will be having full on pullbacks, right? Because that's kind of what I expected a little bit last time around, was a little bit of a deeper retracement, which we never got. And here's the thing, people, right? Global liquidity is on fire. It is simply on fire. There's so many trade deals also being done, money being printed into the markets, that crypto has not even seen that effect yet. Okay, because we are behind. We will show the indicator in just a second, but we can see, right? We just consolidated. We never had the big pullbacks, and I would not be surprised if we got something similar, right? Maybe we go down this way instead of the other way overall, right? When we do something like this, just channel between, consistently 103, 104K down to maybe 100K before we burst up. Maybe something like this, like this, like this, like this, like this before we burst up, okay? Because man, the thing is, right, we are extremely bullish. There's no other way to put it. I do not believe we will be consolidating for, a very long time. I don't believe we're going to be doing a full on kind of cycle range, even if we did get to the top, right? Let's just say we did get near the top. I don't believe, we're going to be doing something like this, some type of like deep, very deep correction. It just would be way too long, and it would not make sense once again with the liquidity, right? If we go to the indicators and we add the global liquidity index and we just zoom it out. All right, let me get this so it's nice for you guys. So we can see that if we take the measuring tool and we take it from the top of the global liquidity to over here, the last green candle before the big red sell move, we can see that it was 91 days. Now, if we take it from the bottom to the last red candle, guess what? 91 days. And we have been going up in liquidity, right? Liquidity has been going up for 105 days. But since we are behind, we haven't experienced all of it. And then, yes, there's a little bit of dip, but I do expect for the yellow lines, right? The yellow line is the liquidity. I do expect the yellow line to kind of rebound and continue pushing up higher. Okay. I really do. But if we look at this, right, and we know that there is a 91-day delay, if we take it from the top and go 91 days roughly, when we see the date, it's actually mid-July. So that would really make sense, just in general, because I do overall, right, let's remove this indicator. I do overall expect this green candle to be very good, right? And this green candle, this 3-month candle, is April, May, June. So at the bare minimum, I either expect us to end up somewhere near the range of like this range, or already starting to burst up. And then the next 3-month candle, which would be July, August, September, I would overall expect it to be pushing up. Now, there was a little dip in liquidity, right? That might mean we just might chill around the new all-time high for a little bit before we officially burst up, right? I'm not 100% sure exactly what's going to happen. Just because there's a little dip doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a full-on retracement. There's just, like I said, might be consolidation around the all-time highs before we continue going up. So overall, very bullish, right? The picture is very bullish. The structure on the higher time frame is very bullish. When we go to even the monthly, we can see, right, that we talked about on this channel for months now, because I know people were scared. But, people just had to understand that, look, we had a high, we had a higher high, we had a low, we had a lower low, right? Just, it's as simple as that. It is just simple, basic fundamentals in the crypto market being formed. Okay. Very, very simple, very, very awesome. So, overall, I do expect, like I said, Bitcoin to kind of be ranging, going sideways, going up a little bit. The thing is, technically, if we go on to the candles, we can see technically we did form a lower low and we did form a lower high, okay? Because we have this, right? We have these highs, you have this high over here, right? If we take this marker high, lower high, you have this low over here, and yet technically this low, that's technically lower. But it's not that convincing. It's really, really not that convincing. It's honestly like the bare minimum. So yeah, we're gonna really monitor this. We're gonna really monitor this. When we go to something like Bitcoin dominance, though, if we go and look at the chart very, very quickly, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, we are down to finally the 62% area, which we have been talking about, okay? There was a little bit of rebound recently, back up to 63.5, but it is continuing to push down. Now, I expect it to probably go between 62 and 60%. Yeah, it's a decently big range, but overall, right? Overall, that is just how it is sometimes, right? We can see that, there was structure over here last time we used to talk about months ago that we expected to bounce off and then it went even lower. And once it went lower here, I was really, really confident. And I was like, okay, saying if we were going to go even lower than this and create structure lower than this, then we would be officially having an altcoin season, right? For me to have an official altcoin season, we would really have to start printing below the 60% multiple times. When I go to something like the monthly, right? If I go for something like basic support and resistance, just remove this very clearly, or just remove this very quickly, we can see, right? This follows very, very simple fundamentals, right? We have boom, we have a little bit of here, but usually the top one doesn't really hold. It usually goes a deeper retracement. That's why I really expect a bounce off the 60%, and I wouldn't really consider altcoin season to be officially starting until the 60% would be broken. Okay, because last time when we were here, people were saying, "Oh, it's going to be altcoin season." I was like, "No, we have to be closing even lower than this for it to be official." Okay, and here's the thing, right? Last time altcoin season did start to kind of go off, we had it in a very, very aggressive sell-off, clear break of structure on the higher time frame, right? If we remove all the drawings, we had these highs, right? We had a higher high, of course. On the weekly, we had a doji candle practically, boom, massive sell off for multiple weeks. We broke below this structure, we broke below this low, and then we were consolidating below this low. So there were many indicators suggesting, hey, we're going to go lower, right? They were going to go lower. Here, right now, there's nothing suggesting that we're going to keep going down and down and down, right? Maximum should be roughly 60%, maybe 59.5, right? But in general, it should do something like this to continue going up higher. I would, like I said, would expect an aggressive sell-off and then, big struggle before I would really consider saying, hey, altcoin season is just around the corner. Now, if altcoin season, right, if we did start to go lower and lower and lower, like even back down to 56%, or like I said, below 60%, then yes, I would consider altcoin season to practically, already be in the making, especially if we would get more consolidation too. But I do not see any signs at this moment, right? It's just simple, bigger pullback. We've had these bigger pullbacks in the past, right? Where we go from, 54.5% back down to 50, let's just say 50.5%. That was like this the third biggest pullback. Then we had the biggest pullback in November, December time where we went down 7%, right? Altcoins just skyrocketed. And then, of course, everything kind of sold off again. And now it's going to be the same thing. I really do believe it's going to be roughly the same thing. Now, when we do start recovering, that doesn't necessarily mean altcoins are just going to be going completely in the dumps. Okay, I don't believe altcoins will just completely go in the dumps. I don't believe altcoins are going to come back down here. Like, I don't think we're going to see a $1.50 render. That would be very, very, very surprising, right? With certain coins, we are still under massive structure, right? Like we can see AKT has a massive demand zone and support zone here, which is currently resistance. So if it does not break, below, or sorry, if it does not break above this green box, this top green box, then technically, right, it could go decently much lower, right? But overall, since there's so much global liquidity happening, and I just believe that the total market cap for crypto will be rising, right? I do believe over the next few short weeks and months, we will be rising and we will be finally exploding. I do believe, the 6.5 to 8 trillion mark is very, very likely. Now, I've talked about stocks before. Stocks were at a roughly 124, 125 trillion market cap. We are much, much smaller, like what, 40 times smaller, just off the top of my head, maybe even more, maybe less, right? But we are extremely, extremely, extremely small. So, I expect good things. I expect good things with crypto. I expect, crypto is going to really have that big first wave of the spotlight this cycle. But I can't see the markets being too crazy. Like the highest I can see it going is like 16 trillion. That's already really crazy, potentially with a double pump. You gotta remember things have to cycle out too, right? Even though there's gonna be lots of money pumped into crypto, you got to remember, things they still have to be semi-fundamental, right? Semi-fundamental, but you never know. The world, when we were looking back down here at 760 billion, people were predicting a 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 3 trillion, and then we finally got to 3 trillion. So it was a big moment. It was big growth, but the difference is we didn't really have all the countries, all the banks, all the ETFs, all the institutions, all a bunch of multimillionaires and billionaires looking at crypto yet. Now everyone is looking at crypto. So, there's a good chance we do smash this green box. Obviously, we're going to monitor everything. And, if the government keeps on printing money, global liquidity keeps on skyrocketing, right? If we see the global liquidity index just skyrocket over the next month and a half, then we're gonna know that, hey, like crypto is going to be really pumping. Okay, so we're going to be following the liquidity index, we're going to be following the charts, we're going to be following the timings, seeing how candles open and close over the next couple of weeks and months. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to join the community. Highly recommend it. Last day for the code fresh, 33% off. Guys, I'll love you so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.